So my first ever film review on this channel isn't actually going to be a new film, it's actually going to be an old one. What? Today I am going to be going over one of my favourite old science fiction horror films, and that is Event Horizon. Event Horizon is a 1997 science fiction horror film directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. And if that name rings a bell, that's the same Paul Anderson that made Resident Evil and a bunch of other shit films as well. There was once a time when Paul W.S. Anderson, believe it or not, was actually considered Britain's most promising up-and-coming director. I know. Event Horizon basically tells the story of a ship, funny enough, called Event Horizon. It went missing 7 years ago. Well, 7 years ago in the future. So, not 7 years ago, more like 20 years from now. Whatever. The ship basically reappears after being missing for 7 years, and a crew is dispatched to go and find out what's happened with it. They turn up, and like any horror film, things are not going to go well. Let's just put it mildly. I'm not spoiling anything. They turn up, and things ramp up, the tension ramps up, and things turn to shit, and it's a horror film. It's set in space. It's nasty. Cast-wise, people in this film are Lawrence Fishburne, who went on to play Morpheus in The Matrix. Sam Neill, best known for Jurassic Park and a whole load of other stuff. Jolene Richardson, Richard T. Jones, Jack Noseworthy, Jason Isaacs, Sean Pertwee. A really good, talented cast and crew. Yeah, that's it. Why do I like Event Horizon so much? Event Horizon absolutely bombed at box office. Audiences hated it, Paramount hated it, even though they gave Anderson carte blanche with budget. As soon as they saw the finished product, they were like, it's too gory! Audiences were like, this is nasty. And basically, they had to tone it down. They actually toned it down from the original cut. As soon as they released it, it bombed. The science fiction was pretty much in the gutter around 1997. It's gone on to become a cult classic. And the reason why I like it so much is it's an original science fiction film with a lot of horror in it, and it feels original even though it does wear its influences on its sleeve. It has elements like The Shining, Hellraiser, Aliens, a bit of dystopian Blade Runner-y sci-fi in it. But what I also love about it is an effective horror film. It ramps the tension up to the point where it's almost completely just overwhelming. And then, literally, like that, the last act of the film is carnage. Literal carnage. There is bloody murder all over the place, really gory, horrible scenes, and it mixes that psychological element, that dread, with the shock horror as well. What it also does really effectively is a lot of horror films nowadays, they show you too much. Event Horizon just showed you enough to horrify you without going overboard. It's a gory film, but it doesn't go crazy like Saw. Event Horizon also had some really good use of lighting. The sets are beautiful, and the way they're lit just allows for wonderful kind of interaction between characters. One scene in particular featuring Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill towards the end of the film, and the use of lighting is just perfect. It is a really moody, atmospheric sci-fi. It lets the film down. There are weird interactions between characters that feel a little bit off. Jason Isaacs, I have to point him out, I love him as an actor, but his accent's really wonky at times. He goes from Scottish to Irish to Irish to Scottish to English to Irish to Scottish to English. And his accent's all over the place. Richard T. Jones, as much as I do enjoy him in the film, his involvement is very tonally off towards the end of the film, in the third act. It's almost like they kind of put Will Smith in a brutal, gory horror film. You know what I mean if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it and you'll be like, yeah, I see what he means there. It's not a perfect film. It's one of my guilty pleasures. It's just one of those films that, when I first watched it, absolutely terrified me. The dread, like I said, was overwhelming, and come the end of it, I was just left kind of by the whole experience. The gory scenes are very... So there you go, Event Horizon. It's not a masterpiece, but it's one of those films that if you've not seen it, it will stay with you, it will impact you. It's a very... I mean, it's not original by today's standards, but back in 1997 when they put this film together, it was a gory horror with a lot of atmosphere. The prosthetics are perfect in this film. There are bits, like I said, some of the motivations, some of the accents, some of the dialogue. The fight scene at the end is a bit, I don't know, you know, it's kind of, "You will not take my crew!" Really kind of corny and undermines some of the horror elements. But on the whole, Event Horizon is a film that if you are a horror fan, and if you like science fiction, why haven't you seen it already? Go and see it. It's scary as fuck. What did you think of Event Horizon? Have you seen it? What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Please feel free to subscribe and please share. If you would like me to review other films, let me know in the comments also. I have been Michael Kenny, you have been awesome, and I will see you all tomorrow.